And hello and welcome to you and to yours truly. This is Wake Movement with your host, where we'll go through some of current events, such as Jordan Peterson seemingly about to lose it, I think. Milo getting kicked out, Fuentes getting brought in, Kanye helping or hurting? I don't know. Full moon in Gemini. What should we expect? Wake movement. I've been separating astrology from my political analyses, but there is no separating it really. Because part of what I do at Wake Movement is look into the occult, which is hidden, and astrology is a big part of that. So, thank you for. Hold on, I could hear myself in. Sorry, I was hearing myself. So, let me know in the chat if you could hear me, because I'm still figuring this out. Live chat is on. Remember to guard your privacy and abide by our community guidelines. You can say whatever, just don't say anything to get me hurt. All right, I have been studying Gnosticism, my friends, and that even in Gnosticism, we have these schools still teaching on the historical existence of one Jesus of Nazareth, which comes from Mazzaroth. The Mazzaroth is the 12 signs in our zodiac, from where our sun, moon, and planets travel. It's a 23.5 degree band, hence the number 23 being important. And tonight you could look up into the sky and see the full moon right next to Mars in Gemini. Mars is action. Gemini is the trickster. Mars has been in Gemini for the past month, where it's gone retrograde, it stopped, and it's turned around. Seemingly, what it's doing is a loop, but to ours, it looks like it's going backwards. And Mars is a planet that likes to go forward. It likes to act. And so when it's forced to go backwards, it's forced to do something it doesn't want to. And the result is often uncouth. Hence, we have a month full of the Gemini Kanye West saying things where freeze bawling and then getting himself into trouble and hurting the cause. What's the cause of highlighting this theology, this Judaic theology that sprung out Islam and Christianity? And we were making so many good leads or advances by calling this out for the supremic hatred, anti-Gentile. It's fucking camera's not working. Oh yeah, we're back. Sorry. Okay, so am I gonna have to tap my phone so that it doesn't fade out? That would be stupid. But we're continuing. So, Kanye West, is he hurting more than he is helping? Albert Bashai, I'm going to have to keep on tapping the screen. That might get annoying, but we'll do it. Albert says, who I love very much, says that he's bringing up the conversation for people to talk about it. But is it bringing it up in a healthy manner? Are we having top scholars talk about this? Are we having uneducated people who didn't learn about Benjamin Netanyahu until 2 weeks ago talk about this? Still preaching Christ is king. Still having a Jewish Messiah a Jewish person, fictional, as their Lord and Savior. Adam, No More News, posted a great clip tonight about a Jewish person, maybe a rabbi, I don't know, theologically supposing, exercising, imagining that perhaps Judaic theologians came up with Christianity to give the Gentile some sense of a personal, material, physical God that they could relate to better. And in Islam, they would say that that was the trap that was set up by whom? So to test those who really truly believe in the monotheistic God and those who could fall into idolatry, whom Christians are thought to be. Now, what is the lot for the idolater in Judeo-Islamicism? We talk about Judeo-Christianity. Let's talk about Judeo-Islam. The Judaic nation and the Islam nation says they have more in common than the Christians because they don't believe in a God incarnate into a human person. These are all allegorical, not to be taken literal. When we take them literal, we go off the fucking plantation. Rather, we go and chain ourselves to the whipping post on the plantation. One can believe in spirituality, in mysticism, in the ethereal realm, and the world of thought and emotion. Things that science can't explain. Consciousness. Scientists study the physicality of this world, the materiality, and they can't explain consciousness. And now on the opposite end, we have the theologian who only talks in abstract concepts and is divorced from the material realm. And what good does that fucking do us here where we find ourselves? Very much incarnate. You know, if I keep on having to touch the screen, I'm gonna lose my fucking face. So we have in our current events, we have some interesting things with Jordan Peterson commenting on people's accounts who have like, some dude will comment something. Jordan Peterson says, get rid of these anonymous people who aren't using their real name. And somebody commented with like 200 followers. I, little old Liam, have like 3 times as much as that, which is still nothing. And then he takes the time to, Jordan Greenblatt, or Jordan Peterson, Jordan Greenblatt, that's funny, a slip of the tongue. He'll take the time to comment on this person's comment. That doesn't show a sign of insecurity and shallowness. I don't know what does. Speaking of Jonathan Greenblatt.
All the power, and then he loses everything. Well,
Look.
The insidious
nature of anti-Semitism and these tropes about Jewish power. Kanye can say these things about the Jews controlling everything. And if we don't get him, the myth spreads. If we don't get him, and then he didn't correct himself. He further elaborated on getting, said if we don't get him, correct him or whatever. They're talking about getting him. It's a mob. If Jonathan Greenblatt doesn't look like a mob figurehead boss to you, I don't know what is. Yeah, the whole You know, Fisher, um, the chess master from Jewish origins, said that they hate nature. And a good sign of them hating nature is through circumcision, something they passed down to Islam and Christianity. You know, this is a little bit personal. The only thing about would I get my children circumcised? It's almost like we think it's normal a circumcised penis. I'm a Scorpio. I talk about taboo shit. I'm not scared. Because we think it looks. That's why my mom did it. Got it done to me. Dude, that inflicts trauma. And like day, what, within the 9th day, you have to get your breast. Luckily, it wasn't done by the mouth of a rabbi, but through the surgical knife of probably a Jewish doctor. Oh my God. You know, right now, with this Gemini full moon, we can see it happening right now. The moon is our mechanical, emotional, instinctive nature. What the teachings are in esoterica is that we need to transform our moon into our sun. That's why it's good to know your moon, your sun sign. Book a reading. Go to wakemovement.org or theaquarian.tv. We want to not go to our first instinct, which is more primal, primitive, animalistic, bestial. And we want to do things from a more intelligent, intellectual realm, controlling. Riding the donkey, riding the serpent, riding the dragon, riding the goat. So it gets us in less trouble. Hey, Aaron's Energy 313. So right now, astrologically speaking, which I don't talk about too often here, but there's a full moon, and you can see it right now with Mars right there next to it. This is Mars, energy, activity, close together with the moon, our emotional, mechanical nature. In the sign of Gemini, our first thoughts, kind of our cogniscent, trained brain. We can use this energy to. You have a Gemini moon. Gemini moons could be duplicitous. They could be very. It's just very active mind. But there's also something beautiful, beautiful about the mutable Gemini moon, which is the sign of Gemini is two pillars. Bringing to mind that duality, the two Boaz and Joachim, the male and the female, the thighs, leading to the moon, which is Yesod, in charge of the sexual waters, as the moon controls our waters. So this is a time where we want to synthesize the two into one. And I have videos on aquarian.tv where I talk about the alchemical process where Mercury, Hermes, Thoth, is instrumental in the role of uniting the opposites, bringing together the male and the female. Sacred sex is about sacred. I don't mean to say sacred to scare people, but sex. Yeah. Sex can drag us down through acting out on our base level nature, where it gets us into a lot of trouble. And that key can also unlock not just hell in our lives, but heaven. This touching the screen every moment is really getting tiresome. Milo being dropped is a good thing, obviously. Did anybody really take his conversion to Christianity seriously? Not that that even counts for anything. Or him not being gay anymore? Not that that really counts for anything. But just taking his word for anything? And so somebody perhaps saw through that and called him out. You know who's another Gemini? Donald Trump. It's the trickster energy. Is Kanye West playing the role of the trickster? You can look through his symbolism, listen to his lyrics, and see that he has perhaps been initiated into the Masonic mysteries. And is he playing the role of the dark force? How genuine is his conversion to Christianity? He has Marilyn Manson involved with his Sunday rituals. You know, when I first had this mystical experience, spiritual experience, and it was within the context of the Christian environment. And so that's how I interpreted it, and that's how it was taught to me. And so I was going around saying, have you accepted Jesus as your personal savior, blah, blah, blah. And that was that energy, perhaps not used at its wisest. What they want, what life will create in you, is a mental breakdown, a psychological death for a rebirth into, hopefully, truth, light, love. So when you go into secret societies, cults, religions, they will bring you through the passion of Christ, the suffering, the breakdown, for the breakthrough. But then they mold you in how they want to, so that you could be a useful tool. So it's important that we are hip to this, so that we don't get molded and fashioned into a pawn, a soldier to be put out on their battlefield, to be sacrificed to them. What's the sacrificing that needs to be done? Sacrificing our momentary pleasures, our selfishness for the greater good. It's that simple, my friends. And that is a common occurrence throughout the world's mystic traditions, religious institutions. It gets co-opted. So the more I see Kanye West, the more I see he's hurting, not helping. Sorry, Albert Bashai. Is he making, no, a crazy, I don't think he's crazy. He's a Gemini. Lunatic is going to be the mouthpiece of the pro-Gentile movement, of the anti-white movement, a black person? That's funny. Or Nick Fuentes. Giving a whole, your dick is their sacrifice. Yeah. Well, you know, sex is such a big thing. You know, Egyptians actually practiced, we have evidence of Egyptian circumcision before the Jewish circumcision. And what it was is to make it more sensitive to the touch, to have an erection easier, but not so that you could just bust a nut and lose your life virile energy, your chrism. It's so that you can contain it, hopefully, and then use that to strengthen your own spirit, and create your solar body, your Ka in Egypt, out of your Ba, your body in Egypt. There's Kaaba, Kabbalah, stolen from Egypt. Masons say that the Israelites took the sacred teachings, and when they escaped Egypt, which is the Exodus, is a total fictional story, but here's their story, is that when they left there, they took with them the secret Gnosis, Gnostic teachings with them before it fell. Phoenicians are perhaps Egypt. Well, Phoenicians are not Egyptian. Phoenicians are more Mesopotamian, Lebanese, Lebanon. Although the Phoenician, maybe one of the earlier occurrences of what we call to now the Israelites. They were known as the merchants. And the sea peoples, and the Egyptians do mention the sea peoples giving them a hard time, and perhaps taking over as the Hyksos. Now, we could debate about history forever, but what the fuck does that do to us now? Really, ultimately, it doesn't help us that much. Adam actually helped me to come to that conclusion in conversation, where I was trying to figure out where did these people come from. He's like, does it really fucking matter? I'm like, you know what? It just might be out of my curiosity. It might not help that much the current situation. What I recommend, studying as much as you can, gathering all the information you can, being sharp of mind. Hebrews are not boat builders. Are they builders of anything? No, they use the goy to build their temple. That's how Solomon's temple was built, not by human hands, because they don't believe that the non-Jew is human. Rather, an ox, a bull, to plow the field. Very inhumane. And if we could have an actual scholar to go against Greenblatt, to talk out against Peterson, to go against Muttermouth Ben Shapiro, to go against the public figures of Judaism, if we could have somebody well versed in the traditions. I'm learning Hebrew just to be able to dissect it, to do it in a way ultimately from love. I have many Jewish friends actually whom I do appreciate and love, and who I am not afraid to call out on their supremacy. And I do it mindfully, hopefully lovingly, compassionately, empathetically, without laying myself down as a sacrificial fucking goat victim. We have to do this. Be wise as serpents. You know what that has to do with? Control, not being a jerk off. And I tell this to myself, and I have to, I don't want to say reprimand myself, but really make a real effort to not get lost in the world of pornography, of being a jerk off. That's how we lose our life energy, and we're tired all the time. And then we can't channel that energy towards creating stuff on a meaningful level. Rather, perhaps we're giving birth to fucking dense demons. Oh, what else we got going on in the news? We got some great Christ cuck pastors always posting that fire. Sam Bankman-Fried, here is a story to follow with his connections to Jewish money, and specifically Ukraine and the Democratic Party. Will we ever find something out, or will they seal it because of protection of national security? Dog, if they would release all the things, you know what? Whenever they say they seal something, like Ghislaine Maxwell's and Epstein's client lists and the details of those cases, that they seal them because of national security. You know whose security they're trying to protect? Their fucking own. Because if we really were hip and privy to the fucking details of these things, they'd worried about their own security. Some good white pills were Morocco waving the Palestinian flag after their victory in the World Cup. These demonstrations at the World Cup in Qatar, which is the United Arab Emirates, which is pretty much just Muslim crypto Jews, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, look at Jared Kushner's dealings with Saudi Arabia. Oh, I thought these Muslims and the Jews were beefing so much. We have 10 known Jewish popes. Is that so hard to believe? The first one, Peter, Jewish. Established by who? Jesus, Jewish. That's why Kanye West, trying to come out against Judaism, being a Christian, is fucking playing right into their trap and giving them the victim card and encouraging them all the more to cry out in pain as they strike us. A quote coming out of Poland, Germany, where 22 million people at least died who weren't Jewish compared to the 6 that were Jewish. And what? They're not afraid to sacrifice the lower levels for their own greater cause. The Oppenheims, the Guggenheims, the Bauers, the Rothsteins, the Rothschilds. These upper echelon banker, globalists, money lenders, usurers are not afraid to use the lessers for their ultimate goal. Who financed? We think, oh, Rockefeller. Name me another. Guess who backed them? One tried to stand up against them. Not one, perhaps more than one. This was Henry Ford, and he wound up cooking to them at the end. Just showing that you can't go up against the power, which is what the whole Kanye West thing is doing right now. No matter how many billions of dollars you have, you can't go up against the system. Who controls the money of the Vatican, of the Roman Catholic Church? The Rothschild banking system. Who bailed out Donald Trump from his $1 billion worth of debt personally? Wilbur Ross from the Rothschild banking system in America, who he made as the head of their banking, of the commerce, when he got elected. Now that's a lot of black pilling right now. What are some white pills? Perhaps Albert is right. Perhaps this is being brought into common parlance, and it gives us an opportunity to talk about this. Let us do it wisely. Let us do it ultimately lovingly, but let us not do it in cowardice, in passivity, and in bowing down. 3 watchers tonight. This is shit that makes me fucking depressed. But for those 3 who are here, fucking love you.